we've got some good news here, folks. Yes, we do. Something happened this week that I think a lot of people, including myself, have been talking about a lot recently that shows that maybe, just maybe, we still have a little bit of power in this country.
Mr. Thune.
Now the
No.
Okay.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 46. 3/5 of the Senate duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative, the motion is not agreed to. The majority leader.
Mr. President, I enter a motion to reconsider.
The motion is entered.
Sorry. And I move to proceed to calendar number 436, S4784.
Yes, as you heard right there, Section 219 of the NDAA, or the NDAA itself, was blocked by the Senate Democrats from advancing in a procedural vote. Now, it's just like anything else, right? It is the Democrats, so they're not necessarily doing it for the right reasons, but there's still good news is good news. They objected to the NDAA over the Trump administration's handling of the Iran conflict and the overall defense package. But because the Democrats voted against this bill, we won't be getting, at least for now, none of the individual provisions of the NDAA, specifically Section 219, will be implemented, at least for right now. So all right. So what was Section 219? We just talked about it a few weeks ago. Section 219 would have created a United States-Israel technology cooperation initiative. It would have basically merged our two militaries together. It would have expanded the U.S.-Israeli military research and development partnership. It would have sped up the integration of Israeli-developed technologies into the United States weapons system. It would have made it easier for the Department of Defense to procure and field jointly developed technologies from Israel, and deepened long-term defense industrial cooperation between our two nations. It basically would have said there is no way for us to not be integrated with the apartheid state of Israel, a state that virtually every country in the world recognizes as carrying out a genocide against the Palestinian people. Okay, now we know a lot of our politicians are owned and controlled by AIPAC and the Zionist lobby. And so we were all talking about this. This is why I brought this up I think about 3 or 4 weeks ago probably. And I told you guys that we needed to call our people in Congress to make sure that it did not pass. Now, who was against it? Thomas Massie of the Republican Party, really the MVP of the Republican Party, which is why Trump hates him so much. Thomas Massie's the one who led the charge in releasing the Epstein files. He's been leading the charge of, along with people like Ro Khanna, who's a Democrat from California, in speaking out against the tremendous power that AIPAC and these entities have over our government. And so they really they fought hard against Section 219 and continue to fight hard against Section 219. It would have permanently deepened the integration of our two militaries. It would have reduced future congressional leverage over defense cooperation by embedding it into standing law. So it would just be sort of a thing. It would just be, well, anytime we anytime we pass any laws, pass any funding for our military, we'd automatically be bringing Israel along with us. And again, considering that they are currently and have been for 3 years carrying out a genocide against the people of Gaza, while at the same time, I think we kind of forget that they are also engaging in the Greater Israel Project as we speak. They are bombing Syria, Lebanon. They have the Greater Israel is on their military outfits. They have Greater Israel patches on their military outfits. They tell you what they want to do. They want to take over the Middle East. They want to literally take huge swaths of other countries. They are invading and bombing, I think, 7 countries in the Middle East at this point. That was the plan. And that is the plan. And they've killed and genocided and created an untold amount of destruction. And it completely integrating their military into ours would provide them a certain level of shielding and protection that would be unprecedented. So, but I do want to say that just because the Senate blocked consideration of NDAA, the bill is not dead. I repeat, is not dead. We may have called our people in Congress. I know I did. I called Frank J. Mervan. I called when it was in the House. I've called, I'm going to call Jim Banks and Todd Young again. It has been delayed. Congressional leaders will likely negotiate some of the changes and bring it right back. I don't know when, but they probably will. They might strip Section 219 out of the bill, which I hope they do. It could be modified in some way and hidden, you know how our government does. It could be removed during House and Senate negotiations. It could be ultimately become law if included in the final conference agreement approved by both chambers and signed by the president. So here's what we need to do. Just like I told you guys a few weeks ago, reach out to your public officials. Our 2 senators in Indiana are Jim Banks and Todd Young. Make sure you call them and say no to Section 219. It's kind of funny it's 219 because that's our area code. So if you just remember our area code, Section 219, right here in Northwest Indiana. Call Jim Banks at the Hart Senate Office Building, 202-224-4814. That's Jim Banks, 202-224-4814. To call Todd Young, you would call him at the Dirksen Senate Office Building, 202-224-5623. That's 224-5623. Make sure, again, that you let our senators know, because both of our senators are right-wing Republicans, that it is absolutely unacceptable. Section 219 is unacceptable. When they bring it back, make sure you stay on their behinds. Make sure you stay on their behinds. Yes, this is a temporary victory for all of us who've been railing about this for the last few months. But again, this bill isn't dead. Make sure you reach out to your senators and those who are watching around the country. Do the same. Do the same. Reach out to your senators in your state. Make sure they vote no. Well, all right, folks. It is 6:26 in the p.m. So what we're going to do right now is go to our very first commercial break here on Straight Outta the Cannon with me, Scott Cannon. And when we come back, we're going to get into the biggest threat to our country right now in the summer of 2026. Diarrhea. Cha-cha-cha. We'll be right back after these.